Recording in progress. Welcome to the Speak to Sell Yourself and Your Business show. What is this community about? It's all about using the power of your voice to stand out from the crowd, to connect with your audience in a very unique way, and ultimately to deliver your greatness, whatever that is. It can be your product, your service, or your speaking as a business. We welcome entrepreneurs, startups, people in business that would like to communicate with impact. So this applies to everybody, people, and then people running their own businesses. So come on, join us. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this live right now, if you're watching this on replay, whatever it is, join us. I'm also planning in the next couple of weeks or maybe month, I'm going to be launching a program to start supporting people on a journey to really get them to succeed with their speaking and helping them to market their business more effectively as well. Bear with me because the year started and it's been crazy. Between my brother and I, Rasmi, we are overloaded with work from different angles, too many inquiries coming in from marketing, from the speaking side of things, from the coaching, from the training. And I really hope I can be there and I can be here because otherwise, I may go crazy. I don't want to go nuts. But sometimes I feel like it. So thank you so much, people, for listening. It's a pleasure. And let's get started. Today, Rasmi is going to be asking me some of the most common questions we have been receiving. So there's been a bit of a pattern. And of course, there will be many more. But we're going to start with the main 7 questions. And then if you have any more, send them our way. Rashmi, over to you. The voice of wisdom is going to be asking those questions right now. So let's just go to speaker view. Take it away, Rashmi Chinchani.
Thank you, Jose.
Oh, we want to hear you, Rashmi. We want to hear you. So again, louder. We want to hear your voice.
Jose.
Hey, there we go. It's just like a DJ. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Jose.
Okay. So the first question which we receive is, what are the most important elements of public speaking?
Wow, the most important elements of public speaking. Good answer. Very open answer. Sorry, open question, open answer. Well, the answer may be open as well. Well, I usually tend to speak about 4 key elements. One is the mindset of the speaker, which is key. What are you playing in your mind? What stories are you telling yourself? What is your purpose behind what you're doing? Who are you when you're speaking? What beliefs do you have around the whole thing? What skills do you have as well? So you see everything that has to do with, with the way in which you're thinking. And then with mindset, I always like to tell people that it is important to think about the emotional connection. So mindset, and then they focus on the emotional connection they're going to be building with the audience. That would be my number 1 key element. You may know a lot around public speaking. If your mindset is not in place, if you're not focusing on your audience as the main thing, I guarantee you're not going to be as impactful. So mindset. If you have any silly voice in your head, oh, Jose, you're not good enough, Rashmi, Eunice, oh, yeah, you're not going to deliver a message as impactful as you would otherwise. So number 1, mindset, focus on the emotional connection, or if you just want to call it the connection with the audience. Number 2, content, people. You may be very good and in your mind, you may be fully certain about the topic and everything that you're going to be saying. But if you don't have a good piece of content, which can be the presentation you're going to be delivering in this case, then you haven't got much really, because what are you going to be then speaking about? So what is the content? Important question. What are you solving with that piece of content? Because then when it comes to the marketing side of things, to put yourself out there, people are going to connect with you because of the relevance of the problem you solve through your talk. You may come up with a fancy title, but it's really important what you're addressing there and making sure you address it. So number 2 will be powerful content, impactful content, or a content that solves a big problem. And when I say a big problem within your area of expertise, of course, because I wouldn't invite you to speak about something you're not too comfortable with, that is not within your area of wisdom. So definitely that one. Then I'll go number 3. There are many incredible people out there, mindset, growth mindset. They read, they learn, they have powerful content, and it can be even greater than many speakers out there. But then you know what they lack? using all of these babies, using our body, all of our non-verbal, which is what I like to call speaking with our whole body, utilizing our voice, utilizing all of our, as I said, our body language with purpose, gestures, the eyebrows, the eyes, whatever it is, in order to illustrate your message. It's just like having slides, which is going to be part of your content, but then you're using your body language, you're using your tonality, using everything else that you have to paint a picture in the audience's mind. In the same way you do it through storytelling, well, you are helping with your hands, with your gestures, with even the pauses. So all of this falls within that body language side of things. So that's number 3. And then number 4, Rashmi, I'm going to say, developing an unshakable state. Because you may have, your mind in the right place, your stuff, you got a powerful piece of content, you're connecting with the audience really well, you're using all your body language with purpose, using enriched language, which is appealing to all of the senses, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, gustatory, olfactory, all of them. But then what if something happens in the audience, or something happens with technology, or someone complains about what you're saying or doesn't agree, and your flow gets broken? Then if you don't have that unshakable state in place, your whole presentation may go belly up. So it's having, that unshakable state that no matter what happens, you're going to be able to take control. No matter what people send your way, you're going to be able to answer. You're going to be able to deal with it. And that's one of the things I always recommend, is to learn to deal with objections. Learn to deal, with a crazy crowd. Learn to deal with questions as well, even if you don't know the answer, what to say, how to say it. So I would say those are the 4 elements: mindset and emotional connection, the powerful content element, if you want to use slides or not, but we will dive deeper into that one. There might be another question to expand on this. Then the 3rd one, body language, utilizing your full body to communicate. And then the 4th one, unshakable state. There we go. Thank you very much for that question. That took me a bit longer than expected. So 7 questions might be an hour and 10 minutes. There we go. Wow, goodness me. No way, Jose. Come on, Rashmi, hit me.
Okay, so another question is, how can you make your presentations more engaging?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say the first thing that comes to mind, it's important to bring your passion, whatever passion is for you, okay? Passion doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be all excited and jumping up and down, but bringing passion to the stage, that's going to be key. Know the topic inside out. Know it very, very well so that you are on the ball every time. And then the 3rd one, I would say, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, believe in the quality of your content, believe that you can change people's lives when you present, that, you have a powerful story and people can benefit from it. That's one of the things that, is going on in my mind as I'm delivering a presentation. Then make sure you are there for the audience, not for you. It's not the show for you to shine. It's actually for people to shine through your talk and your presentation. One of the things you can do in order to make it more engaging, apart from using body language and some of the things I mentioned before, you can engage with people. Even if it's a large audience, you can still ask some questions or have a mini conversation with someone on the front row. Make some eye contact, smile, get them to play games with you. I love, playing games, even if it's just a quick one. Not always, but I've started using the hola game. So I get people to say hola in 3 different ways. So hola, hola, hola. You see? And then that way I'm engaging, because it's very important to have people connected with you throughout so that they benefit from the content. And everything you do, make sure it's in alignment with who you are, with what you stand for. I don't want you to be funny if you don't feel like being funny. You don't consider yourself a funny person, for example, or cracking jokes. I consider myself, and people say that I got humor, but I'm not good at telling jokes. So I don't go telling jokes and things like that. So I don't force things either. So I'm just there reading the room, what can benefit or what can be beneficial at that point in time. That's why presence is so important. So being present, being there, which is another reason why I recommend people not to memorize the whole thing, because we're memorizing the whole thing word by word. We're just more in our heads and actually being there with them, which takes me back to knowing your content inside out, because you practice it so much that you just know it. So those are some of the things I would say. Also, you can use props. So if I'm going to have a conversation, I want to tell a story, illustrate the conversation, then yeah, I mean, I just go and use the phone, for example. This is just because I got the phone here. And storytelling, absolutely. But storytelling should always, and has to be part of your presentation, your toolkit, what you do. Storytelling is key. And then adapting those stories, making them relatable to the audience. I hope that answers that second question. Boom. I may need water. Nice to see one of my top tips on both those answers. Summarize your main point. Again, at the end, yes, that's super. John in there. Yes, John, just let me grab a bit of water. Moving around the kitchen right now, but Rashmi, hit me with the third question.
Yes, the third question is, how can you be an impactful presenter?
Okay, well, I think in a way I've already answered some of them. I would say storytelling is key. And when you go and tell stories, make sure you have a structure to that story. There is a reason for that story. And what I mean by this is you're using it to illustrate one of your points. That will be very, very powerful. Of course, using your body language, using your tonalities accordingly, using your pauses. So in order to be impactful, it's very important to practice and to know, again, your content inside out, to be there for the audience, to actually make sure that if you want to use slides, that they are used to elevate what you're saying, not just to have bullet points in there and loads of, what can be useful information, but what will also distract the audience from connecting with you and what you're saying. An impactful speaker believes he or she is an impactful speaker as well. And you communicate from the heart and the mind, because then you have all of that rational happening here, but then you got all of the emotions coming from the heart. And that's when you're building a powerful, airtight case of the rational and the emotions. Boom, there you go. That'd be my version, plus everything else that I've said. You're killing me with these questions. I'm going to run dry soon.
The fourth question now. What are some ways to overcome nervousness when speaking in public?
Preparation. Prepare, and then prepare a bit more and carry on preparing. The fact that you've delivered a presentation once or twice or 3 times is not a reason for you to stop improving it. Because as human beings, we're never a finished product. We're always improving. So I would always invite you to prepare. Know your topic, again, going back to what I said, inside out. And to know that fear, the nerves, being nervous, it is completely normal. And I don't really believe when people say they don't get nervous, because in my opinion, and what I go through every time I'm going to present, I get nervous. I get my butterflies, I get the whole thing. The element is that, I can decide to use those nerves to propel me, to push me forward, or I can use them to stop me. I can also turn them into excitement, because, that means I'm alive, I'm doing something, I'm learning, I'm stretching myself, I'm trying something, even though I've done it before, but it's a new audience. And every time I'm in front of a new audience, there is a huge field of new opportunities opening up for them, for me, to create connections. I also believe, going back to some of the things I do in order to reframe, every time I'm on stage, I'm growing, I'm evolving, I'm developing as a human being. So that's actually quite a nice twist to it. Yeah, I'm nervous, but I'm nervous because of that. I'm always out of my comfort zone, you see? So I'm just like expansion coming through instead of just feeling nervous, That's one of the things. Reframing is very powerful. Seeing whatever situation you're perceiving under a different light, in a different way. I'm nervous. So what is it that you're nervous about? Well, because I'm going to be in front of the audience. Okay, how could you see it differently? How would you like to be instead? That's another helpful question. Because if I'm nervous, well, I would like to be confident. How can you be confident? Or have you ever been confident before? So that you think, oh, well, yeah, I've been confident in some other occasions. What's stopping you from becoming confident? And then that you may find some more answers. Well, what's stopping me from becoming or getting more confident is the fact that I haven't done enough, or that I don't have a strong structure, or that I would like to get some feedback first. There might be many different things, but know that as long as it doesn't stop you to have those nerves, it's a good thing. You can also look at it this way. On the other side of those nerves, on the other side of fear, there is success. So there you have a few pointers. Know it is normal. There are, of course, techniques. You can visualize your success throughout the presentation, which is something high performers in different fields do, which I find extremely powerful. You can also practice anchoring, the circle of excellence. And I think I've touched on some of this in previous episodes of this show. Again, feel free to send your questions through. Rashmi, I hope that answers that one.
Yes.
Yes, maybe no?
Yes, it answers properly. So another question is, what are some common mistakes that people make when giving speeches?
I think I've already mentioned this. Memorizing things word by word. When you memorize things word by word, what happens if you forget a tiny bit? So if you forget that tiny bit, most likely you're going to be, oh, goodness me, I forgot that tiny bit and it had to be perfect like that. That's how I wanted to say it. And you having all of that dialogue while you keep on forgetting the rest, or losing track of what comes next, or losing the connection with the audience, because then you get more nervous while you're speaking and then you go back into your head and all of that. So memorizing, I don't recommend memorizing everything. You can memorize a quote, you can memorize some numbers, and always think that anything can happen. So what would you do if you forget something? What can you do? Then you can start thinking about worst case scenarios so that you're ready, you're prepared. That is one. The slides. Use the slides to support you. If you're going to have loads of bullet points in there, what's the point? What's the point of the bullet points? You can just actually print that out, send it to the audience, email it to them. Focus. If you're going to have images, big images, things like that on your slide, they are specifically to illustrate what you're sharing, to elevate that point. It is key. Another mistake, not enough storytelling, I would say, or stories that are potentially way too long and don't deliver the point. I always like to suggest the mini story system, which you always use to illustrate the point. So you make a point, tell a story, or you tell a story and make a point. That way, you make sure you're delivering something specific that people need. John, you're back. You got a question for us? Or you're just on listening mode?
Still listening. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you, buddy. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. No.
That's okay. That's okay. You're always welcome here. Rashmi, next question. Well, I mentioned those are some of the questions. Sorry, the answers. Then not using enough body language or using too much of it. So gesturing with purpose. If you want to be more credible, if you want to be more approachable, if you want people to take in what you're saying. I mentioned the power of the pause. Variability. So instead of always speaking with the same tone of voice, bring in different tonalities. The pace, the projection of your voice. Remember that every time you change something, the mind unconsciously is looking for change. So every time there is a change, you will bring back their attention. So there you go. There you have a few of the don'ts, and at the same time, don't and do's. How many questions are we in so far?
2 questions left now.
Oh, 2 questions left. Okay.
So, 6th one now. how can you make sure that your talk is well structured?
Well, having structure. There we go. Having some structure. Start with the end in mind. What do you want your audience to take away? So they listen to you. They sit in there for however long your talk is. What happens at the end? What is the call to action? What do they do with it? So I always recommend you start with the end in mind. And then the way in which you can structure it will depend. Of course, it will depend on the audience, but it would also depend on what talk is it. Is it a keynote? Is it a TEDx type? Is it a sales presentation / pitch? Or is it a combination of both? Those are the most typical ones. So if you're doing a TEDx, which can be a mini keynote in a way, you can use the structure I always recommend. You can have an intro, then you make a point, tell a story, make a point, tell a story, make a point, tell a story, and then you have an outro or conclusion. That can be a fairly simple one to use. And you don't necessarily need to illustrate everything with stories. You can bring in data as well. You can earn the right in the process where you actually share who you are to be delivering that session, etc., etc. Then if you are doing more like a pitch, I always recommend, well, easy for a pitch, easy structure. You have a bit of an intro, the problem, the solution, and the results they can expect. Very simple. And you can have a 60-second pitch, or you can do 5 minutes up to 10 minutes if you like, depending on the size of the problem, the magnitude of the problem, and also the magnitude of the solution that you present. Hernis and Nikos today say, don't finish with a fizzle, finish with fire. There we go. Boom. Yes, I love it. How do you want people to leave the room? Because when you finish with fire, and I love that, John, then, people in the end are going to remember not necessarily what you said. They will definitely remember how you made them feel. So you finish with fire, they're pumped up. They just go, wow, their minds are like, yeah, that was so powerful. And they take that away. That's what you want. That's what communication with impact is all about. At the end, there is a clear effect or positive impact. I love that. Finish with fire. I will finish with fire and hard. There we go. The stereotypical Venezuelan. What else? What else? Okay, yes. So I've given you the structure for a mini pitch. And then if you want to combine both, you can have what can be the intro, then you speak about the problem, you share who you are, you present your solution, and then within that solution, you can break it down into some points and some stories to illustrate what clients and what people have experienced, and then you wrap it up at the end. And then you can finish it with fire, with a powerful call to action. So there you go. Depending on what it is that you're going to be speaking about, who the audience is, are you delivering a keynote and are you getting paid for it? Or is it speaking to sell? Or is it just an opportunity for you to pitch your business, to raise funds, or just to pitch your business because you want to sell more? So there we go. You got a few in there. Bang, chiki, bang, bang. Structures are very important because remember, you want to take people from A to B or to C. And if you're all over the place, people won't know what they are at. They won't understand. And then confused minds lose track. Confused minds don't buy. Confused minds wander off and they don't pay attention to the speaker. Rasmi. Last question. Last questions, unless you have more questions, of course. But then with this, I think we've done good 7, which is good.
How do you prepare for your speech?
I go a bit crazy and I stress a lot. I honestly get a bit stressed a few weeks before. And sometimes I even lose sleep. I'm being completely honest and open here. This is what's been happening recently because I'm doing loads of things, not only speaking. So every time I need to prepare, and most of the time, especially if they pay you a high fee, they want something tailored to them, which means I'm always in a way reinventing things and adapting to them. I've got loads of content, but again, the creative process is just, okay, how do I use a powerful structure for what they want so that they end, take away some fire, as John said. So that is me being honest. It's not ideal. It's not something I would recommend, but it happens. And it happens to us as human beings. Then as you go after, through that process, this is my strategy, by the way, I get stressed out and then I begin to think. One thing I do, when is it happening? Is it happening next week, in 2 weeks time, 3 weeks time, whenever it is? I start planting seeds and commands in my mind. So, okay, Jose, get ready, start absorbing from the environment, look for opportunities, look for the knowledge that you want. So I've got clear direction, focus in my mind that I'm going to be delivering a session on. Imagine this one is called, the next one I'm delivering next week is around how to communicate effectively and the impact it has on our mental health. So in my mind, I'm already looking for information everywhere, even unconsciously. I'm capturing things, I'm coming up with ideas, and I begin to structure them. That is part of the creative process, which is very important. Then, of course, once you have all of that, is practice. Practice it, practice it, practice it. Get feedback, present it to people you know. If you want to record yourself, if you want to do it in front of the mirror, if you actually want to go to smaller events or online events when they invite people to speak for free and then they give you feedback, that's another great opportunity. I've done it many times. I've done networking where I would go with an idea and present it and see how it landed and then use it to tweak it further. You can also, now that we are going out again, there is something called the pub test. So you go with your mates or your friends, you're having a conversation and then you pitch them the idea. Look, guys, this is what I'm thinking about. Give them 5 minutes and see what they think. Those would be some of the ways in which I prepare. I recommend preparing. I wouldn't say memorize it, but then be clear about the structure, the key points you want to make. That's the beauty of the stories. If you're using the stories to illustrate those points, then your stories are your stories and you will remember them. What you can do is to practice them so that you deliver the story in a very specific way, looking for very specific impact. So that would mean the tonalities, that would mean the pace, that would mean the gestures as well. You can be just so big because it's something big happening, or you can actually go quite small, or you can pause, or, there's different things. Obviously, you cannot see the rest of my body, but it's that intention behind everything you do. And then you carry on practice, 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 and practice. Some people even recommend you practice it up to 50 times. Last time I spoke at the Excel in London, I did at least 25 for that one specifically. So there's always something else you can do. And then once I get, also one thing I like to call a healthy obsession, which I don't think is very healthy in my head. I may go crazy sometimes. Even when I'm sleeping, I wake up and I kind of rehearse it as well. And I wake up for, a minute or two and I just start rehearsing. And then I fall asleep, but in the background, it's just, it's always happening. If you love what you do, you will find a way to make it happen and to improve it every time. And yeah. I just saw John is actually gesturing in there. I don't know if he's getting excited. He's talking to someone else, but I got distracted for a moment there. He just drew. That's the power of body language. There we go. Rashmi, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure answering those 7 questions. We've been here for now 30 minutes. Herman, any questions? John, if you have any questions or remarks, I love the finishing with fire and I added the heart. Got to go to another call. John, thank you so much for being here with us. It's always a pleasure. Remember, we're here every Thursday at 10 a.m. UK time, and then there is a replay available. Yes, heart. And now you need the fire, John. You need a fire one. Have you got fire one? Boom, there we go. Amazing stuff. Thank you so much for being with us today. Final thoughts, final questions, anything else? Rashmi, Herman, anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up? Or Eunice, fire. Herman is sending up with fire. Okay, well, Herman is sending up with fire. I'm going to give the heart.
An extinctor.
Okay. Let's see, Eunice. Well, Eunice was here with us. Hopefully she'll come back. If not, it's always a pleasure to have you here. So have you got a question?
No, I think it's always refreshing just to, because I think I'm quite used to it. One of the things that I like is the storytelling, that I think it helps a lot, especially to keep on track, well, people from the audience, and you keep on track your structure. And there was another point that exactly, for example, I would be the one memorizing things and not memorizing things. So I think I'm in the middle because I memorize certain things because I want to make sure they are there. And normally they are related to data or something very specific, a name or a something that I would like people to pay attention to. But then maybe it's not so that point that is very interesting for me is not for them, but has to be
Good
something
point.
specific, let's say exposure on an image. And then for me, it's important from my point of view, but is it for them? And that's why it's kind of, I learned that specific bit, let's say a definition or something similar, just to put an example. How would you do in that case?
Yeah, no, I
You
love
have
that.
something.
It is key that whatever you want to say, it's not because you want to say it, as you said, but it is because there is value in it for the audience. That's the key thing. Even with storytelling, sometimes, I want to tell them this story. And I usually invite people to actually cut that to half and cut it to half again and end up with the essence, because that's a real challenge. Honing things down in a way, reducing them to the essence so that the audience, people take maximum value. That is one of the challenges. How can I make it shorter? If I have more time, I would make it shorter. Shorter, of course, within reason. It's not just to make it short, but impactful. It's also what I'm after here. So that's one of the things. If also, if there are some technicalities and things that are relevant and that are relevant for your industry, and of course the audience, if you're speaking to people that are, interested in video marketing, for example, or the details behind what makes a video impactful, etc., 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 then you can remember some of them. And also then you can use your slides with that intention, because you can link that to an image. And then whenever the image comes up, that's what it means. And then you can speak about it, which is what I mean by using images with purpose. So, or even why not having exposure in there if it's a big thing that you're going to be speaking about. That's another angle. And practice, because I agree. I mean, there are certain bits that you want to say when you're speaking, then memorize those, rehearse them. There are memory techniques I've shared with, there was a one of the episodes in which I share some of the memory techniques. You may still remember what was on the screen,
The room.
and what happened, throughout the whole thing. So then, memorize those key things. There's no harm in them. What I mean, people, you can do whatever you like, really. But then if you memorize word by word, then once one of them goes, you may struggle. Have flexibility so that you can spend time with the audience as well. And when are you going to be speaking next? I want to see my brother speaking out there. There we go. Boom. And Rashmi is going to be sharing her story. And now I'm wondering, Eunice, when are you going to be sharing your story on the Facebook channel, the Facebook community? There we go.
It will come. I think it will come. Let's expect it in the not so far future. It will come.
It will come. It will come. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Let's put a date to it. Even if it's in your mind, you don't need to share it with us, but put a date to it. It's going to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Get ready. I would love to see that one. You can share it with me first if you want any feedback before you post it in the community. The same with Rashmi. Rashmi is going to be sharing how she told her landlord off big time. And, she goes like fire as well. That's a fantastic story. I want to hear it. I want to see it. People, it's been a pleasure. Eunice, do you have any questions, or you just...
It's not a question. I think it's something that I've learned after this. There's something that I put together about, let's say, you have to let your audience know that you are the expert, that you know what you are saying. So it's more about the mindset thing, like the mindset, where you don't have doubt and you have the confidence that you know what you are saying and you are the expert. That is what I got from that. Yeah.
Very, very important remark. And a reminder for everyone, because we are connecting emotionally with them, and we're also we're transferring certainty in our topic so that they listen. Oh yeah, I mean, this person knows. Plus the element of the story, plus the element of the humor, if you want to incorporate, all of that is going to make it impactful. But yes, you are there because you know what you're talking about. And that's key. And believing that you know what you're talking about, believing in the power of that content and what it can do for the audience. So absolutely beautiful. Yes. Yes, and yes, and yes. People, it's been a pleasure to be with all of you today, as usual. Any final words, Eunice or Herman?
Finish it with
Rashmi?
fire. How are you gonna finish this one with fire?
How am I going to finish it with fire? I don't know. I set the house on fire. I'll get in trouble with my wife. People, what I want to say, just go. Have you got an idea on how to finish it with fire?
I don't know. I was just gonna put some music.
Well, you can put some music, finish it with fire. People, remember to get in touch. If you have any questions, if you want to take your speaking to the next level, get in touch. I'm always posting the link for you to book a call with me. I want to help you elevate your speaking. I want to help you to use it as a marketing tool. As you know, we offer different services around marketing as well. We can help you with your toolkit, your show reel, your bio, and much more. If you want to make money from speaking, if you want to speak to sell, which is what the community is about, if you want to communicate with impact within your organization so that you move up the business ladder, there's all of these elements. People, keep on coming, listen to this, take action, and stay tuned because there is going to be a new program coming up very soon. So hit us with the music, Herman.